Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents, YouTube followers and watchers, Abbotsford community, and politicians and law enforcement around the world. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for Commander-in-Chief of Abbotsford to bring the RCMP into Abbotsford. Long overdue. I want to begin my podcast today and talk about organized crime, the elite mob of Abbotsford that set up in our police department that thought these men were so smart they would never ever get caught. Before I begin, I want to show you the man that thought he was above the law, the man that couldn't come back here to cut the ribbon for his building. He fled, he don't know what's going. This is Abbotsford's police chief, Mike Sir. Mike Sir was responsible for covering Henry's hit and run on the 911. He was responsible for ordering his officers and his task force to my house. He was responsible for the Abbotsford task force on Councillor McGill. And why? Henry Brown ordered Mike Sears to do it so Henry could own the city of Abbotsford. It took 4 years. I told you a long time ago I was trained by many big people. Peter Wall of Wall Financial, Tony McGill of Intertech, Ledcor, and above all, Mike Dakota of Ani, about the gold pots in developments. Henry needed 2 to 3 terms to accomplish one of the most important, richest values of Abbotsford. Having Vicky Hopes in the Abbotsford newspaper, Ed Fast and Mike DeYoung. I believe he told Ed Fast, you move sideways, Ed, and you call anything out in Ottawa, I'll tell on Devon Roy of Pacific Peak Homes. The OCP is the official community plan of Abbotsford. It's the layout of what's coming. Henry Brown worked long hours, sometimes till 11 o'clock, with his son Darren Brown, who was the proven officer. And Darren showed me, of all the leads, he was telling people, his friends, to buy, setting them up. Ron Funk of the Verse is Henry's partner, lobbying the jobs for Henry. This is why Ron Funk of the Verse ran Ross Siemens as a developer, when Dave Lowens, Dave Sidhu, Patricia Dreesen, Abbotsford First, refused Rianne Gasper, who is now a sitting MLA, refused Alex Mitchell, refused Manji Soy, and why? This favoritism. This is Little Oak Mall. This is what they were setting up for a 6-story. City councillors, which are Abbotsford First, Ross Siemens Slate, the organization of a criminal ring that fed up to fraud Abbotsford and help Henry's developers. Henry manipulated it all through the back doors. This is why Great Toes blocked me in the election to halt to clean Ross Siemens. This is why Dave Sidhu was told by Henry Brown to block me at UFB. This is why Vicky Hopes tried to scandal me. This is why Sandy Blue said I grabbed her on the whipper-wrapper. This is why the Abbotsford police carried out vicious acts for Mr. Billionaire who thought he was smart. Henry knew. I come in. I knew from his son, Darren Braun, I'm changing the official community plan. He shit his drawers and he went off the rails. And then he couldn't get it under controls because he couldn't get me up in the office and own me or bully me like he did Eric Nivel and everybody. He knew that somehow by pinning my phone through the Abbotsford police, they knew I was making them trips to the RCMP. They didn't know what for. They didn't know how much Darren Brown told me. This is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This is why my life was targeted. I was left for dead. This is why Abbotsford police investigators, nobody will come after me. We're going after the gangs. We want to tell the whole world about gangs. Did what they did for Henry Brown. This is what stood in the millions and trillions of billions of trillions of dollars. But this was insider trading. This was threats on residents. This was the official community plan that Henry set up. Then he needed his little shithole lackey that he runs through the back door, Ross Siemens in. But this is what led an Abbotsford private police to organize high elite crime, covering up an organized ring unbelievable, figuring we'll never get caught. We're the professionals. Henry's hit and run. Thanks to the RCMP, you saw it all. Abbotsford's Keelan Olenoff telling me to drop these videos. Great tolls and everything. To Ron Funk the diverse, organized crime, and people that stand to benefit off of organized crime in having the elite of Abbotsford councillor warding to you deserve what Martha Stewart's got. Insider trading, life in prison and assets seized. The problem is Darren Brown made it clear when he told me Pacific Peak Homes, Devon Roy, is tied to diverse, but he's Ed Fast's son-in-law, and that's why Ed had to bail Henry, and that's why the federal conservatives kicked his ass out. This is why Henry and his buddies were trying to get Mike in at the federal level to get him in there, and a scandal suit made so federal investigations wouldn't come in on what was taking place in our great city, Abbotsford, British Columbia. So I told you that with podcast 2. Let me take you to podcast 3. I want to see the Abbotsford police, the great investigators. Let me begin. One more thing on this podcast. Abbotsford residents controlled all the evidence. They controlled everything. They never counted on the Abbotsford police after Darren Brown opened his mouth. They had no choice. But now to get their face kicked around the world, I got a buddy in Victoria. This is the leading investigator and a mob cleaner. This was off the rails. And this calls for lifetime sentences into who was involved in cleaning for Henry Brown at the Abbotsford Police and who covered it up and why that Abbotsford task force did what it did. Once you've done this, you're into all the organized crime through the whole of Abbotsford. That means you're exclusively blocking for your rich friends, that anybody who comes in wants charges. You're cleaning and you're protecting people that were breaking the law. This is what the RCMP mission did not look away from when they saw the overwhelming evidence of Henry's hit and run fleeing from the scenes and Abbotsford's top investigators. You know, we'll go through an investigation. I'll use that uniform. I'm a veteran investigator. I've been here 20 years investigating. You've been there 20 years with your tongue up your ass. And I'm going to tell you from experience from Peter Wall and everybody, that is organized crime, Rob Funk. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia, Little Oak Mall, Dave Lowens.